Alright, so I felt like the first part of the video wasn't enough. I think after watching it, a common counterpoint that can appear is there's no reason to use mace, since you can always give protection and regeneration from tome 3 and tome 2, and it is correct, you can. But the problem is most people won't dip into each tome once every 10-20 seconds, and sometimes having more than 100% uptime on boon can make sure in an actual fight you have the 100%, just like how you usually want to run more might than needed. And yep, I decided to make a spreadsheet. At first I made a video which I recorded myself going over some logs. It felt too personal, and I decided to just go over all of the OLC logs in Wingman, only CM, only successful kills, and decided to collect some stats. And before I show them, I want to go over why OLC CM, mainly because, first of all, it's a damage heavy fight. I think going for my build, which is on OLC specifically, will be that. Wait, and if you need Fury, you go for this. If you need, if you don't need the Fury, you go for Signet. And I think this is a brain-dead choice for OLCCM. Usually we'll have Fury, since you have a lot of Virtuosos in your group, probably from KO as well, they will stay Virtuosos. It's a really good class there, so you will have Fury. The pull from X is pretty bad, so you can go, I mean, it's bad and the range is low, and usually the CC you want in this fight is high range, like 900 and maybe even stuff 5. And so I think mace is a really good option. Protection and regen are super important in the fight, and having more of them is nice. Protector Strike is incredibly easy to trigger. You get 2 blocks for 2 damage ticks during the pull and the push. And you can even use Sanctuary if you don't need it for the CC, which is most of the fight you don't need it for CC, you can use it for extra heal. Both of Truth is really good. I think it's like one of the best healing skill for the fight specifically as well. Since it has a big range, so you can catch people that are away from you in the healing. You have 2 charges, so if someone is in completely different place than the rest of the team, you can send 1 bow to him, 1 bow for the group. You can precast a lot of your healing before a pull or a push. Let me see. For some reason, my alt was pressed. So you can do something like this, and this, this, and this, which is a lot of healing. And yep, overall, pretty good class. Even if you're green kite, you can jump into the group once in a while, drop all your mantra charges and give quickness, even though you shouldn't green kite with this build. Probably want to go Mechanist or Druid or Catalyst or something else. But for a red tank, insanely good build. Also, I think it's a fight that those utilities are super important. If you trust your team with CC, you can go Signet of Mercy, which is really good here. Can save the Kiter if it goes down, or any teammate that goes down. But usually you will want to run this build, and you can't really afford to give a utility slot. So going Mantra of Lore is a really bad choice. You also don't have any conditions, so if you go Mantra of Lore, you basically go for it only for the regen. So this is, if I need to choose a fight, I think this is the fight that the build shined the most over the Snorko build. Also the 25% extra healing to others is really good, obviously in a damage heavy fight. Alright, Another thing, I didn't choose Bone Skinner because the average experience of a player there is really low, since you are doing it without any KP, which of course it's fine, but I don't want people to come to comment on this video with the excuse of those players aren't good enough, the players you chose. That's why I chose Successful Logs, chose Relatively Hard Fight OLC CM. If I had to do this to check another boss fight, I would probably choose Solace Horror. I think Mace is also strong there. But yeah, Solace Horror, Bone Skinner, and OLC CM. It's just OLC CM, again, as I said, why I chose it. Pretty good fight to check stuff on. I will say the problem with OLC is that one person needs to green kite, and this person will obviously have lower boon duration. That's the main flaw in my spreadsheet. Also, I didn't have a lot of logs, and yep, let's show the stats. All right, so let's see what we have here. I will explain first. This is the X logs, this is the average, Mace log, and the last one is the average. Mantra of Lore is if they are running Mantra of Lore. 0 means they aren't running it, 1 means they are running it. Regen, Percent, Prot, and Fury are uptimes. GS, it's output of the squad. I don't remember why I chose GS, but that means how much protection, fury, and regen the heal firebrand gave to the entire squad. If you want to look at the subgroup, you can probably assume that, like, for example, 48% to the squad is like 96% to the subgroup. That means the uptime is going to be really high on the subgroup. Again, it's more or less because probably some of it goes to the off group, like the other subgroup. But yeah, I chose this metric. I think this is the most important metric, regen specifically, because like the rest of the team can cover for your protection and your regen, for your protection and your fury. But like, if your alak DPS or the full DPS is giving regen, it's not as good as your own regen since it scales with healing power. So even if here you will have a high number, like 67%, relatively high, but like only 20% of it was gave by the heal firebrand, then the heal firebrand didn't do good enough job. And another thing, lesser symbol of protection, 0 if they are not running it, 1 if they are running it. Lesser symbol of protection isn't bad by itself, but if you are running lesser symbol of protection, you are giving up on invigorated bulwark, which is that's basically 2.5 relic of the monk worth of healing to other. So yeah, lesser symbol of protection means you are running invigorated bulwark. A really huge waste in my opinion, especially in this fight, which is super easy to trigger. And some other stuff, I have some same logs, like this firebrand and this firebrand they are playing on the same squad. Just thought it's interesting to see the comparisons. This guy ran Stand Your Ground, obviously a mistake. I found it funny. This guy used Tome 2 skill free 25 times. And you can see it in his regen uptime. But I think guys like this are the exception and not the rule. And I'm saying, like, it is possible to play with Axe and give regen and protection 100%. But still, like, the number of heal firebrands that do it are really low. I think the spreadsheet mainly shows that, like, heal firebrands does not heal firebrand players that doesn't change their builds between each fight and doesn't change their utilities enough and traits enough. I think OLC CM is like one of the fights that Mace is by far the better choice, and most of them are still using Axe. And let's talk about the stats. Mantra of Lore, like it said that any player is running it on OLC CM. There is no conditions to cleanse, so you're basically running it just because you're too lazy to go into Tome 2 and use skill 3. So you can see how many players, like more than third of the players I looked at were using Mantra of Lore. Lesser Symbol of Protection, even more people, 75%. Like all of them are losing, like they are basically playing with negative relic and a half. Like they don't have Relic of the Monk, they're playing with minus Relic of the Monk. Just so they can keep up their protection. Just because it didn't swap to Mace. Let's see. Fury uptime, especially with X, will be good. I thought I will have more logs with Mace, so I can check the Fury uptime there, but I don't have a lot. That's another flaw with the spreadsheet. You have only 5 logs of Mace. You can see that region uptime is super low. Like even if you look at group output region, squad output region, you get 21%, which is like 42% region uptime. And again, some of them are kiting, so it will be low. And it does make sense. But 21 is still way too low. And at some point you need to realize like the X build doesn't give enough region. And that's also with like people running Mantra of Lore. So even with those people, like the average is so low. Protection was usually fine, but I think it gets carried by most people running lesser symbol of protection. But still there are like, no, I think protection output, yeah, it's way better than the region. Fury obviously perfect, because why not? But yeah, you can see how Mantra of Lore, like this is the part that people didn't run Mantra of Lore, and this is the part that people did run Mantra of Lore. And the lowest is like, there are so many logs here, like all of those are almost like, I would say a third of the logs, and all of them gave like 20% region uptime to the group, which is like abysmal. And that's just like sucks. Like obviously they did complete they did get the kill, but like having such low region makes it that harder for no reason, and that just sucks to see. And let's go to the second part. Again, not a lot of logs. Wanted to talk about those two in particular. Those are the same log. They ran advanced for some reason, I don't know why. They didn't run Fill My Wrath, so they gave 0 Fury, and yet Fury was perfect. Even here the average is like 96.7, here's 98, difference of less than 2%. Like you can see how much not running, like how much running X affect the Fury uptime, which is basically doesn't affect it almost at all, because every class gives you Fury. Protection was a bit lower, even in the output and in the uptime as well, but you had lesser symbol of protection. You had 0 Mantra of Lore, yet the region uptime and the region output was bigger. Fury obviously output was way lower, but again, Fury uptime stayed the same. And I think that's it basically. Like it said how many people are running Mantra of Lore just for the region. And I don't know, just like I think even here like the stats could be better. Even in this part, like you could have more protection uptime, at least giving protection part, and you can have more region giving parts. So yeah, thank you for watching. Hope it helps any Hillfire 1 player. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them below. Also, a small thing I want to add. When I did the KOCM, I went over the logs. I won't post the video, but a lot of people are using stand your ground. That's, I think, the main indicator that people don't know how to play heal firebrand, or at least not to high enough level. You don't need stand your ground for KOCM. Tome 3-5 is coming off cooldown every time. It also gives toughness, so your DPSs will survive. Also give protection. A lot of time you see people using stand your ground and they don't have protection. They don't give protection because stand your ground doesn't give protection. And then the virtuosos go down because they don't have protection. Then they get pushed. And then you think it's a bug or something. The heal firebrand says, oh yeah, I gave stability. But they still got pushed somehow. So yeah, it's a waste. Stand your ground there. Utility slots are also super important there. Revive can save your mech kite, and healing. Both Truth can save your other kite, or the mech kite, or the group. And like, even if you, I heard the argument that you might want to take a backup in case you use your Tome 3-5. Which again, I think it's hard to use. Like, it's not like skill here, it's not like Mechanist F2 that you are used to pressing it on most fights that you don't need stability. It is hidden here inside the tome, but like, even if you wanted to go back up, you go Mantra of Liberation, which saves you the actual important slot, which is those two. And I would take this argument that, yeah, you take stand your ground as a backup if people in the logs wouldn't use stand your ground every time. Like, it's obvious they're running stand your ground and they're not using it as backup. It's probably the other way around. They're using stand your ground as their main stability and Tome 3-5 as their backup. And I think choosing utility slots as a backup is a good option. But I disagree that it's a good option when you need when the other utility skills are so important, and I disagree, like, you shouldn't base your build around that. Like, I expect at least, like, good heal firebrands to not need the backup, and it would be weird to start every argument by you have to go stand your ground because you have to have a backup. So yeah, I don't see it really as an argument. I think, like, all of the people I looked at the logs of run stand your ground, not even the elite mantra on KOCM. Stop doing that. It's bad. Please, like, just, like, I don't know, choose even like a random techno bubble skill. Just don't run stand your ground. Thank you very much.